In this video, I'm actually going to try and go through a whole bunch of features and functionality within Ensign. Um, I'm going to post this video to the site in two formats. The first format will be the entire video, so I don't know how long this is going to be, but it's going to be potentially quite a long video. And secondly, I'm actually going to chop it up into sections that relate to individual topics. So if you have a specific topic you want to go and look at, you can do so quite easily. So the first thing I'm going to start by doing is by looking at effectively the building blocks that make up Ensign, or rather the building blocks that we use when we're transporting charts, or rather the drawing items within charts. So you can see, for example, we're looking at the Australian dollar here on a 20-minute chart, and the chart actually has lots of drawing elements within it. So in fact, if I click up here on the objects dialog, you'll see all of these objects, lots and lots of objects on this particular chart. And again, if I go and look at the Japanese yen, we've got more objects, the euro, again, lots of objects. Those objects are stored within a layout file. The layout file is stored, let me just bring a little Windows Explorer over. If you go to Ensign 10 off of your C drive, and what you'll see is a folder called layouts, and then you have layouts 1 through 8. If you go into layout 1, you'll see I've got lots of layout files in here, and just to be clear, the layout files themselves are the text documents. So these text documents are the layout files. And in fact, a layout file is a text document. So if you actually download one of the layout files from the website, you'll actually see it as a text file. In fact, let me just open that quickly for you. And there it is there. So this is actually a layout file. So it is simply a text file. And what you'll see is there are certain things that will tell you, for example, this particular part of the layout file relates to a DAO. The YM is the DAO. So the DAO continuous chart, pound F means continuous, on a 20-minute time frame. The feed, 35F, tells me where I'm getting my feed from. In my case, it's eSignal. If you're with IB, it might say something different. You know, I'm guessing like 27F or 13F or whatever. But the fact is, the feed tells you where you're getting your data from, and the symbol is the vehicle that you're actually charting. And then after that, you'll see lots of information. You'll see, for example, this bit of text here relates to a line that's drawn in the chart. This is another line in the chart. And what you'll see is, there we go, we've got a marker, which is an arrow, a circle. So that's the layout file. And when you download the layout file from the website, which I'll show you right now, by going to About Us, Tools, Ensign Layout, and then you can select the layout file format that you need. I'm with eSignal, so that would be this particular format here. We also actually, in fact, to be fair, we actually have two eSignal versions. We have non-data waiver program, and then we have data waiver program. So in fact, this is the format using data waiver program, and this is the format that does not use data waiver program. FXCM, Interactive Brokers, DTN. So in fact, if I click on this particular file here, you'll see in the browser, we've just opened up a data file. And what you would do is you would right-click this, save the page, and you would save it in your Ensign 10 layouts, layout 1 or layout 2, layout 3, wherever you want to store it. And then you would give it a name. So I'm going to type it as new. And then hopefully, when we actually go into our Windows Explorer, we should have a new file, and there it is. There's new. There's the new text file. And more to the point, if I now go into Ensign, bring over the ribbon, click on Layout, there it is. That's the new layout file, which I can now open. I'm not going to open it right now, but that's exactly where you would open it. If you decide that you want to keep multiple versions of layout files, and as you can see, I've got lots of different versions here, although the reason I have lots of different versions is that they are simply set up for different data feed providers. If you are a member and you have a layout file that is in one, shall we say, version of data, so for example, you're using eSignal, and then you decide that you want to switch to a different data provider, so let's say to Interactive Brokers. Reach out to me, send me your layout file. I actually have automated macros now that do a full conversion. So I have macros that will convert from Interactive Brokers to eSignal, from eSignal to FXCM, from FXCM to DTN. So I can actually effectively convert layout files from one to the other. And so again, if you've got problems with your layout files, reach out to me and you can do that. When you download the layout file from the website, make sure that you download the correct version for your data provider. Now, when you saw me saving the file into Ensign 10 layouts layout 1, I also had other options. I could put it in layout 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8. Those 1 through 8 relate to here within Ensign. When you click on layout, you have 1 through 8. I keep all of my layouts in layout 1. I don't particularly myself feel a need to put layouts in other folders, but if you decide, for example, you want to keep all of your currencies layouts in layout number 1, then that's absolutely fine. Maybe commodities in 2, equities in 3, and so on. The best way I would describe layouts, and people get a little bit confused sometimes when we talk about layouts and layers. Here are layers right here. The difference is this: for those of you that are familiar with using something like Microsoft Excel, the layouts are individual spreadsheet files or XLS files. The layers are like tabs within a spreadsheet. Hopefully that makes sense to you. So for example, in fact, I've actually got Excel open here. So if I open up Excel, the spreadsheet itself is the layout file. The tabs down here, and we can make new tabs, they are the layers. They are layers of information within the spreadsheet, and in the same way that within Ensign, we have layers within them. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about other building blocks or ways of organizing charts within the layout files themselves. And I'm going to talk about layers and stacks. So layers, as we looked at previously within the layout section of this video, layers are to use a good analogy, they're similar to the tabs within an Excel spreadsheet. And so within Ensign, there are predefined 9 layers that you can use. Here we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, the way that I use the layers within my particular Ensign setup is I personally keep my 20-minute charts. You can see all of the charts on this particular layout, or sorry, layer, 20-minute charts are on this layer 1. If I go to layer 2, you can see I now have 2 40-minute charts. If I go to layer 3, we have daily charts. Okay, so that's how I actually have organized my own layers. And the way that you can jump between layers is either by clicking on layer 1, layer 2, layer 3 in this instance, or on my keyboard, I'm just going to hit 1, 2, 3. And the way that you set up these shortcuts to jump between layers is by going Setup, Charts, Keyboard. Now, what you'll see is that at the bottom of the dialog, I've input here layer 1, layer 2, layer 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 for numbers 1 through 9. So let's just make a change. Or instead of layer 2, I'm actually going to change that to 20. And what that will actually do is it will mean that if I hit 2 on my keyboard, whatever is the currently selected chart, it will move to the 20-minute time frame. Okay, I'm going to chart that. So we're currently looking at the Japanese yen on a daily chart. I'm going to hit 2 on my keyboard, and instead of jumping to layer 2, it now changes the chart time frame to the 20-minute time frame. I'm going to move that back to the daily. We're back to daily. Let me go back to Setup, Charts, Keyboard. I'm going to move this back to layer 2 and close it. Now, if I hit number 2 on my keyboard, instead of changing this particular chart to the 20-minute time frame, we will move to layer 2. And there we are, down at layer 2. You can see we're at layer 2 here. So what you can do is, if you wish to be able to jump quickly between layers, simply input the layer 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, under Setup, Charts, Keyboard. And this is the area where you would do that. And you can either have it change to a layer, you can actually have it run ESPL, or you can actually change the time frame for a given chart. Okay, so that's the layers. Now, you might sort of wonder, well, why would I ever want to use more than one layer? Let's just say you're someone that follows gold. In fact, let me maximize this particular chart. This is gold on a 20-minute chart. Let's just suppose that you wish to put an alert line, and I'm going to talk about alert lines further on in the video, but let's just say that you wish to put an alert line down here, and you want to say to yourself, if we take out this alert line to the downside, I want to be aware of it. But equally, on the 240-minute chart, which I'm going to jump up to right now, I also want to put an alert line up here on the 240-minute time frame for gold. Here's your problem. This chart entity is now looking at the 240-minute time frame for gold. Therefore, this alert line up here will trigger if gold moves higher. If gold moves up to like 12.95, it will trigger. Let me move this chart back down to the 20-minute time frame. Now, whilst we are looking at the 20-minute time frame, if gold moves lower, this alert line will trigger. Here's the problem. If we are looking at the 20-minute time frame for gold in this chart, the alert line that we just drew on the 240-minute time frame will not trigger. And the reason is this individual chart that we have open is looking at the 20-minute time frame, and therefore it's disregarding what's going on the 240. If you wish to have an alert trigger on both the 20 and the 240, and potentially the daily, and potentially the weekly and the monthly, and so on, the way you do it is this. You set your alert down on the 20-minute time frame, which in my case is down on layer 1, down here. There's my alert line. I'm now going to go up to layer 2, and here's gold, and I'm going to draw my alert line up above for layer 2. If gold moves up, it will trigger at this particular line. But equally, if gold moves lower, it will trigger on the 20-minute, which is back down on layer 1, because the chart on layer 1 is still looking at the 20-minute time frame. The chart on layer 2 is looking at the 240-minute time frame. So the point I'm really trying to make is this. Your chart can only have one active time frame at any given time. However, all layers are currently active. So you could actually have gold on 9 different time frames on 9 different layers, and each of them with an alert line. Those alerts will trigger on all 9 layers. But if you actually have 9 alerts on 9 different time frames within a single chart on a single layer, only the currently active time frame will actually trigger. So that's layers. So hopefully that's helped you in terms of just understanding layers. There's one other thing I did want to show you quickly in relation to layers, and it's this. Let's just say you have a chart on layer 1, and you think, well, that's great, but I really want to put this this chart on layer 2. I wish to move this to layer 2. You can right-click the chart and move down, move to layer 2. And I'm going to move it, and it'll vanish. It's gone. Where is it gone? Well, obviously it's gone to layer 2. If we go to layer 2 now, there it is. There's my chart on layer 2. I'm going to move it back to layer 1. There we go. We're back to layer 1, and there it is. So that's layers. There is another, should we say, building block that you'll use a lot of when you're constructing your charts or organizing your charts, and it's stacks. You notice this here, stacks. And what a stack is effectively, should we say, a logical collection of charts. So let's just say, for example, I wish to open up a new chart. I'm going to open up a new chart now. Let's have a look, see what we can open up. There's silver wheaton. So I'm going to open up silver wheaton on a daily time frame, and I'm going to click open. There it is. That's silver wheaton on a daily. But let's just say at the same time I want to open up another chart, and I want to open up GDXJ again on a daily time frame, open. For me, I want to track both of these together, both silver wheaton and GDXJ. Just move GDXJ over silver wheaton and click stack, and what you'll see is they are now both in a single unit. Okay? You can give it a name by clicking this button here. Whatever, type in whatever you want, click OK. That stack now has a name, Apple, and within it is GDXJ and silver wheaton. And that's your stack. If you wish to move this stack, bearing in mind we're on layer 1, the whole stack to layer 2, right click, move to layer 2. The entire stack is moved to layer 2, and there it is. I'm going to move it back to layer 1. And it's back to layer 1. So that is grouping charts. Now, the final thing I'm going to show you within this particular video segment is this. How do you group the charts? And I'm going to show you grouping charts within a single stack. We're on the single stack, which is Apple, but it needn't be within a stack. We could group charts that are on layers 1, 3, 6, and 8 together by time frame or by vehicle. And I just want to show you what I mean by that. So You'll notice in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, two little black boxes. See here, just above where it says plus ES. ES, by the way, tells me that this particular chart is actually being fed from the eSignal feed. If you're using FXEM, it would say FX. If you're using Interactive Brokers, it would likely say IB. So I know I have an eSignal chart open. Now, see these two black squares. The right-hand square, I'm going to click on it, left-hand click, and it brings up a little color palette. I'm going to select this particular pink here, and I'm going to click OK. I'm going to go to my other chart, and I'm going to click on the right-hand box, and I'm going to select the same pink. Those charts are now linked by time frame. The right-hand box links by time frame. Any chart that has been effectively you've clicked and you've selected this exact pink, then what will happen is when you change the time frame in one of the charts, it will change the time frame in all of the charts. Look up here in the top left, GDXJ period D. D means I'm looking at a daily chart. SLW period D. Again, this is a daily chart. I'm going to change my GDXJ chart to a weekly chart. This D will become a W. When we look at silver wheaten, there's silver wheaten. You'll see that this will become SLW period W for weekly. When I change the weekly for one, it will change to weekly on the other. I'll do that right now. Okay, there's our GDXJ on weekly. Here's our silver wheaten on weekly. I'm going to change silver wheaten back to a 240-minute chart. And you can see both of the vehicles have switched to a 240. So let me go back to the daily. There you go, we're back to a daily. To turn off or deactivate that feature, simply select black and it will turn off the feature, or it will delink that chart. Just turn them both off. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn on the the left-hand box, and we'll pick a different color. We'll pick this green over here. So now both vehicles are linked by the left box, and the left box links by vehicle. In other words, not by time frame, but by vehicle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the symbol to, let's say, Google. And to change a symbol on any chart, Control S will bring you up this little dialog. You can then type in your new symbol. Hit return, and what you should see is both charts will switch to Google. And there you go, both of them switch to Google. Now, just to clarify, or I guess show you something else. So if I change this particular chart to weekly, Google is now being looked at on a daily and a weekly. Okay, don't forget, we are now linked by the left-hand box, which means we're linking vehicle, not time frame. So if I now switch from Google and we'll go and look at Microsoft, what you'll see is both charts have switched to Microsoft on a daily and a weekly. So you can use a combination of these buttons between your layers, between your stacks, and what it means is that, for example, you might want to keep an eye on the euro on maybe a 20-minute, a 60-minute, and a daily chart. But equally, you might want to then look at the British pound on all of those time frames. So you would simply link by vehicle. Okay, hopefully that's useful. Again, what we've looked at is layers, stacks, moving charts between stacks, and then linking charts by both time frame and vehicle. Okay. Next, we're going to go on and we're going to look at the charts themselves. So what I'm going to get into now is, I guess in some ways, the meat of the video, which is actually drawing on the charts. And we're going to look through how it is I'm able to draw things as quickly as I do, and we're going to look a little bit in terms of templates and how I've got things set up. I've had a few members ask, what are the steps I need to take such that my Ensign looks the same as your Ensign? Not only in terms of the charts and the bars and the colors, but also that when you draw pitchforks or when you draw circles or lines, that mine look the same. So the first thing to look at is the setup of the chart and the background. If you wish to change the background of your chart, the gray, right click, and what you're going to go to is properties. And what you'll see is that I have a certain setup here. I have a background, and you can change your background. Let's just say I want my background to be a little bit, in fact, let's go for a darker background. And now you can see that that's a darker background. Now let's just say I do something completely silly and I say, well, I want to go for a bright purple background, and that looks just absolutely awful. And somehow I want to be able to undo that and go back to my default. Then what I can do is I can load default, and this is my default. That's my default chart. That's my default chart settings. Now I'm going to make one change. Let's just make a change. Go to Properties, and I'm going to change my bars, that instead of having a bar fat close, that's the type that I use, I'm going to use, let's use candlesticks. There you go. I've changed the bars to candlesticks, and I'm going to save that now as my default. That's been saved. I'm going to go to one of my regular charts. Let's go to gold on a 20-minute chart, and I'm going to right click, go to Properties, and I'm going to load the default. And now you see I now have candlesticks. And what I can do is I can go to all of my charts now and create, or I can load the default, which is now my default setting, and they will all become candlesticks. But what I'm going to do is Properties. I'm going to go back and I'm going to change my bar type from candlesticks back to bar fat close. And there it is, bar fat close. And effectively that is a traditional bar, but with the close emphasized. I'm going to save that as my default. I'm going to go back to that Microsoft chart that we had a second ago, and I'm going to right click, Properties, and I'm going to load the default, and now the candlesticks should turn into a bar fat close. And there it is. And there's the close being emphasized, as you can see. So what you can do is you can effectively right click, go to Properties, you can change your background, you can change your colors for your scale, your axes, your data panel. By the way, the data panel is up here in this area here. And then what you can do is you can save that as your default. You then go to another chart and load default, and whatever you applied on this chart will then appear on that particular chart. Okay. Now that's setting up the default, and that's also setting up the bar fat close that we use. The next thing, once you've got your chart, if you like, the empty chart looking the way you want it to look, the next thing is, okay, how do we start drawing? And again, a lot of people have said to me, how is it that you're able to start drawing seemingly without clicking on anything? So for example, if I now want to draw an Andrews pitchfork, I just draw. If I want to draw a circle, if I want to draw a line, if I want to draw an arrow. And the way that I do this is through shortcuts. So let me just show you that. So we have Setup, Charts, Tool hotkeys. And what you'll see is I actually have some shortcuts in here. We have A for Andrews pitchfork, C for circle, L for line, and so on. You can read them. The point being, whatever is input here will allow me to then hit that character on my keyboard and draw whatever it is that you see. So for example, if I wish to draw an Andrews pitchfork, I simply hit A on my keyboard and start drawing. If I wish to draw a circle, I simply hit C on my keyboard and start drawing. So again, you go to Setup, Charts, Tool hotkeys, and put in shortcuts for the various things that you draw on a regular basis. Now, I want to draw an Andrews pitchfork. So I'm going to draw in an Andrews pitchfork. And in this particular case, I've drawn in a pitchfork, and let's just say that I'm looking at that pitchfork and saying to myself, well, you know what? It seems to be working, but we've got a bit of a move below the lower parallel, and we've got another move below the lower parallel. I think we might actually have a parallel line here. Now, Ensign has a very useful feature, and the very useful feature is this. If you wish to draw in a line that is parallel to the fork, something like that, you no longer have to do that. You don't have to draw a line in and see if it's parallel. What you can do is click on the fork, and then wherever you wish your sliding parallel or your parallel line to be drawn, hit and hold down your Shift key on your keyboard, and then hit the space bar. Wherever you hit the space bar, or wherever the mouse is when you hit the space bar, will draw a parallel line. And you can see that that's parallel by moving up to the fork. Then we can move the line to the low that we have in mind, and that will tell us that, in fact, yes, this pitchfork does appear to be working. We have support here, and we have further support in this area right here. So again, to draw in a parallel line, select the fork, and the way that you select the fork is you can click anywhere on the median line, or you can click anywhere on the BC line, or you can click any of the pivots themselves, the A, B, or C pivots. And you'll know that the fork is active because you'll actually see a little square appear. In fact, 3 little squares. You'll see one here, and one at the A pivot, which is out of view. Once you see those squares, you know that the pitchfork has been activated. You can then hold down your Shift key and hit the space bar. And you can do that as many times as you wish. Now, let's just say you want lots of sliding parallels. You've got 2 ways to do it. Number 1, you select the fork and hit your space bar with your Shift depressed twice, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Or what you can do is you can actually draw 1 sliding parallel. Let me zoom out. And then what you can do is you can click on the line. And again, you know the line has been selected because the little selection handles appear, little square at the beginning and end of the line, and then go somewhere else and hit the space bar. Space, 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 space. And you can see that all I'm doing is I'm cloning the line. By hitting the space bar repeatedly, I'm simply cloning that line. Let's just say I wish to remove them. If you hit delete on your keyboard, and by the way, on my mouse, I also have a little button on the left-hand side of the mouse, which is configured to be delete, it will delete items from your chart in reverse chronological order. Let me explain what I mean. Remember, back to the tool shortcut, C is circle. There's my circle. So I'm going to hit space, 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 space. I'm drawing lots of circles. Now, if I start hitting delete, they should delete in reverse order. Okay, so that's how you add a parallel line. It's how you clone items. And by the way, when I say clone items, you can clone anything. Look at the Andrews pitchfork that we have. I want to clone it. I click on it, hit my space bar. There's a new one. There's a new one. There's a new one. Lots of pitchforks. So again, if you hit space bar with something selected, you'll clone it. Drawing a parallel, you depress your shift key and hit space bar. Let's just say, though, that we're looking at this particular pitchfork and saying to ourselves, well, I actually prefer a modified shift, which is a different variant of pitchfork. I want to use a modified shift. I'm going to click on it and hit number 1 on my keyboard. And that doesn't look too bad. We have nice resistance at the upper parallel. Let's just say I want to look at an unmodified shift. Well, that's an unmodified shift. Now, the way that I jump between these 3 variants of pitchfork is very simple, and it applies to every drawing object. I'm going to click on the fork, I'm going to right-click the fork, and I'm going to bring up the properties panel for this Andrews pitchfork. And what you can see is, first of all, you can see that my 0 line, my 50% line, my 100% line are all blue, and they're, if you like, thick. You can change the thickness of the line here. We actually have quartiles at 75 and 25. So the color of your fork is defined here. But look at the fork variation. I have an Andrews, but equally I could pick a shift, or I could pick a modified shift. So those are the 3 variants of fork that I typically use. And what I would recommend that you do is that you set up templates. My templates are set up as follows. My default is an Andrews blue pitchfork. Number 1 is, as you can see, a modified shift purple fork. Number 2 is a red Andrews fork. Number 3 is a light blue. And as you can see, as I go on through the various templates that I've got set up, what you'll see is that the colors in this area here and the variant in this area here, they will chop around and change. So there's number 5, which is a green Andrews. Number 9 is an unmodified shift blue. So these are templates. And the way that you can actually create a new template, let's just say that we wish to have, let's go to number 10. Let's just say that number 10, or in fact, let's pick one that I'm not using, number 7. Number 7, I want number 7 to be, and I'm gonna configure this very quickly now, so I'm gonna speed up the video. Okay, so what I've done is, as you can see, I changed all of these to green and I made it a modified shift. If I go number 8, we go back to blue, 7, there we go. We now have, so I'm going to go back to default, go back to my fork. Now when I hit 7 on my keyboard, we have a lime green modified shift. I'll delete the fork, draw in a new fork, whoops, draw in a new fork, hit number 7, and there it is. So that's the way that you set up your templates. Now, storage of your templates. If you go into Ensign 10 and then double click on defaults, you'll see that there are a lot of files in here, and these files actually relate to the templates that we just looked at. So for example, you'll see Andrews pitchfork 0 through 10, and in fact if you actually look at number 7, you'll see that that was changed just literally today, and it is in fact 1:13 p.m. right now, so that was changed 1 minute ago. So that's number 7 template for Andrews. In fact, if I delete that file, which I'll do right now, and if I draw a new pitchfork in once more and click number 7, you'll see we are no longer getting that lime green. In fact, let me go to number 7 and you can see it's no longer there. And the reason is that I deleted that file. So if you wish to import all of the defaults in terms of how the Andrews pitchfork works, and you can see I have others here such as circles, my circle template, all the templates that I have set up for my lines and markers. Markers are right here. If you wish to import all of these defaults, again, on the page that these videos exist for members, you'll actually see a zip file. Download the zip file, put the contents into your defaults folder, and you'll have identical defaults for each of your drawing objects. Be careful. In dragging those files into your defaults folder, you will overwrite any defaults you already have. So for example, if all you wish to do is bring in the Andrews Pitchfork defaults, all you need are these. Those are the Andrews ones. If you wish to import only the way that I have my circles set up, then you can actually just click your circles files. So those are the defaults, and that's how you set up your templates for the Andrews Pitchfork. It applies absolutely identically to other drawing objects. So for lines, for example, and again, if you recall, if I hit an L and then start drawing, I have a line. I'm going to right click. Here are my various templates. So I have an alert line, which is number 1. I have a horizontal orange line, which is number 2. Number 5 is a thick green line. So again, I have various templates. One of the things to pay attention to, though, with a line, look in this area here where it says silent, beep, voice, and WAV. When I go to number 6, you'll see that the WAV has been activated. In fact, if I go back to 1, you'll see it's silent. If I go to 6, the WAV is activated. And what that basically means is that this particular line is an alert line that will play a WAV file. Now, again, for all of you members, I've got a whole bunch of WAV files up on the site that you can download. And in fact, if I just click on one right now, Ensign 10, alerts.
Australian dollar.
You can hear that say Australian dollar equally.
Gold.
So what I have is I just have a whole bunch of WAV files, and what it means is that if I'm away from my computer and an alert line is hit, I can actually have the speakers on my computer play that particular WAV file. So I can actually hear away from the computer not only that I have an alert that has triggered, but it relates to a specific vehicle such as gold, Australian dollar, E-mini S&P, whatever. So all you do is to create an alert line, you simply draw a line, right click it, make sure it has a WAV activated, and then browse to the WAV file you wish to use.
Australian dollar.
And that's it. This is now an alert line. Now what I've done is, and we can confirm that by the way, by right clicking, and again WAV, there you go. That's an alert line. But what I've actually done is I've actually configured my templates in that I want to be able to draw in a regular line like this, but if it becomes an alert line, which is number 6 for me, my template for alert lines is number 6, you can see that what I've done is I've made it red, I've made it dotted, I've put a little A at the beginning and at the end of the line. And that just tells me that what I've actually drawn in there is an alert line, and that if price comes down and hits this particular line, it will actually sound an alert. Okay, now that's an alert that plays a WAV file. Again, the way that you can do that is simply by changing the color in this area here. You can change the line thickness in this area here. And as you can see, I've just put letters, the letters A to the left of the line and to the right of the line. That is now an alert line. Let's just say though, I want to take alert lines just one step further. Instead of just being or having a WAV file play, I wish to receive an email and potentially a text message if the vehicle hits that line. I can now select email. And again, you can set up a template that automatically does this. I actually do have an email template. Let me just see which one it is. There it is, number 3. Number 3 is my email alert line. If I put a line in, let me just get rid of that line now. I'm just going to draw a line. And by the way, you can make any line an alert line. Let's draw in a sliding parallel. Remember, shift, spacebar. I'm going to draw it in this area here. And I'm going to clone it by hitting the spacebar. And now I'm going to hit number 3 to turn this cloned line into an email line. There it is. I can now move it up. If Microsoft drops and crosses this line, not only if I right click on the line, will I hear a WAV file, I will also receive an email. Now let's go and look at the setup of email alerts, but hopefully that helps you now understand how to add an alert line to your chart. And if you've got any questions whatsoever, you can simply just download my own templates and put them into your defaults folder, and you'll actually have those templates. Setting up email alerts. Go to Setup, Internet, Email. And what you'll see is There are two ways of sending an email. I'm using Ensign's own SMTP server, but equally you can deselect that and then you can input your own information. So if you want it to go out through your own corporate email server, or if you're using Gmail or whatever, you can enter your information there. I'm actually just using Ensign's, so I actually select that, which means that when an email goes out, it actually speaks to Ensign's own SMTP server. So where do the emails go? Here are my two email addresses. And what all this means is every time a line for which email alerting has been turned on, these two email addresses will be the recipient of an alert. Okay? Now, I've blurred them out here, but basically what you'll, and by the way, you have the ability either to send your alerts to a list or to a single email address. Now in this instance, I'm going to turn off other, I'm going to turn on a list, and now it will go to these two email addresses. This one is the email on my computer. This one here is actually my mobile device. And again, these are just blurred out for obvious reasons, but what it will mean is if I now click send, and I'm going to type in test message, because what Ensign allows you to do is actually test your email setup. So rather than waiting for a line to be hit, you can actually just type a message in down below, and then you can click send, and the message will then go to both email addresses. My phone is by my side, so hopefully when I click send, it says sending. Okay, finished. And you just heard my phone. So now I've actually received a text message, and if I look left to my computer, I can actually see an email coming in. So I actually have an email on my computer, I have a text message on my phone, and that's alerting me. And the message in this instance will simply say test message, because that's what I typed in. But if it triggers as the result of, for example, this bar here moving down and touching the alert line, you will actually see an alert on your text message in your email telling you the vehicle and what's happened. So it will actually say MSFT period D, in other words, your daily Microsoft chart price has crossed the line to the downside. It'll say something like that. Okay, so that's how you set up an alert line, how you use a WAV file. And if you, by the way, decide not to use a WAV file, you just want something a little more simple, what you can do is you can actually use a beep, like a regular computer beep, or you can use voice. And if you recall, we talked earlier in the video about deactivating or activating the voice alerts within Ensign, which again is set up system here, enable voice. If voice is turned on, which it isn't in this instance, you can select voice, and what it will mean is if the line is crossed, you will simply have a computer voice telling you that a line has been crossed. So I'm going to leave it as WAV, but again, you can use email, and you can have multiple recipients for email. Again, you can have a regular computer as well as a text message. So what we've covered here then is we've covered drawing in Pitchfork, using various versions or types of Pitchfork, such as the Andrews, the Schiff, and the modified Schiff, setting up your templates, changing colors, drawing in the circle. Let me just do this real quick. If I right click on circle, if instead of circle I wish to have a square, I can click square. If I deselect, I'm now back to having a circle, and obviously I can change the color. And again, you can save any of these into any of these template points. Okay. One of the things I get asked about a lot by members is how do we easily save a chart to an image to be able to send that image somewhere. Now, as you're all hopefully aware, we have a new feature now in the chat page where you can actually simply drag an image onto the chat page to actually post it to chat. Makes it a lot easier, a little bit like posting an image when you're in Skype chat. Regardless, how do you actually post an image, post a chart to an image? Here's how you set that up. Go to Setup, System, Images. And what you'll do is you'll see that you can actually configure your charts to be saved to a hard disk. There are some web options which I don't use, but if you select Save to Hard Disk, type in a hard path into which you'll be saving your charts. And then you can actually use a variable here. So it's 4Ys dash 2Ms dash 2Ds for backslash. And what that will basically mean is that when you save a chart, it will automatically go into the correctly named folder within Charts 2014. Let me just demonstrate. I'm going to take this gold chart. In fact, let me just pull up my Windows Explorer. Here's Windows Explorer. go into 2014, and you can see that, in fact, I'm going to delete all of these folders here, these from last week. We have nothing in there. If I go to gold, and now I click image 2, file. In fact, all you really need to do is click image 2. And there it is. We've created a new folder. Remember the 4Ys, -2Ms, -2Ds, and that's 2014, 5/11, that's today, 11th of May. Double click. I have an image, which when I double click on it, let me just bring it over from another monitor. There it is. And you can see that is the gold chart. So again, set up your path, and then once you've got your path set up, simply click image 2. And it will automatically save that particular image. So this is a slightly unusual issue in that I've had some members that have switched data provider. Let's just say you've switched from IB to eSignal or eSignal to IB, whatever, it's irrelevant. You're probably very much aware of the fact that when you do a refresh of data from your data provider, you only go back so far. Now, let's just say, though, that you have been, a loyal member of something like, say, eSignal for the last 2-3 years, and you're switching, or from IB and you're switching, and so you have a lot of data. And now you switch to your new data provider, and suddenly you only have 3 months of data. You can actually retrieve your old data, and here's how you do it. All of your data is contained within folders inside Ensign 10 and then feeds. So if you go to feeds, ES is eSignal, IB is, well, IB, Interactive Brokers. So, excuse me, if I click on Interactive Brokers, go to minutes, you'll see I've got 3 vehicles here. And if I click on gold, I've actually got data that only goes back to August of last year. So it's 2013, August 13. Each of these files in this minutes folder represents a single trading day, and you can see they end in min. So if you're trying to open up a 1-minute chart, a 10, a 20-minute chart, a 240-minute chart, they will all pull data from the minutes folder. I'm pronouncing that very specifically because there is also a minute folder, but this is minutes plural. Now I'm going to go back to feeds, go to ES, eSignal, go to minutes, and you see I've got a lot of vehicles in this particular folder. This is my live feed. I'm going to go to gold. Here's gold. This is the data waiver program variant of gold, hence the =1. And there's all of my data going back to 2008. In fact, there we go. We've got data, minute data for gold going back to October 14th, 2008. If I wish to move or copy this data into the Interactive Broker equivalent so that I can actually use it for charting on Interactive Broker, I can simply do Control-A to select it all, Control-C to copy it all, go back to feeds, go to IB, go to minutes, go to GC, which is our gold vehicle, and I'm going to paste. And I'm just hitting Control-V to paste, and it's now pasting 70 megs worth of data into this folder. The more recent files from 2013, August the 13th, which you can see here, onwards, will obviously be already existing in this folder. So in this instance, it's saying these already exist. So I'm just going to copy and replace. And so now we actually have a duplicate set of data from the ES minutes to the IB minutes. And the one difference you will see is within IB, the vehicle is GC pound F, whereas within ES or eSignal, the vehicle is actually GC pound F =1 because it's a data waiver program variant. So if you're looking to protect your data, bearing in mind your data is something that you've accrued over a long time and you want to protect it, what you can do is you can actually back up your feeds folder. So if you're if you happen to use multiple feeds like FXEM and Interactive Broker and eSignal, you just simply back up the feeds folder, and that will actually back up all of your data. So you can actually restore it in the event of a catastrophic failure or some sort of a hardware issue. One other item that someone has asked me to look at is how to open up a chart quickly. Well, here's how I do it. Typically what I do is this. Well, in fact, I guess with me, all of my charts are already open. If you have a chart open that you don't need any longer, you can either close it by hitting the red X or can hit Control S and you can actually switch to a new ticker. So you can just type a new ticker in and you can just switch it across. Equally, you can go to main chart, and these are all the symbols for eSignal that I'm actually actively monitoring. And what you can do is, let's say there's a new one that you need to add in. You can just type it in. So let's just say I want to now look at the Australian dollar versus the Canadian dollar, and that is the symbol right there. Whoops. That is the symbol right there. Then I can click on a time frame that I want, let's say the daily. So I'm going to look at the Aussie CAD on a daily chart, and then I'm going to click open. Just take a second to pull the data down, and there it is. That's the Aussie CAD on the daily. That's probably the fastest way to pick up or open up a chart, okay? Another issue that I was asked about is continuous charts. If you're looking at the chart right here, which is gold, the pound F signals, rather than a specific contract, a continuous contract. And you can actually configure within Ensign when a contract rolls to the next contract. Right click, go to properties, and then what you're going to do is you're going to go to symbol, and you'll see here a roll schedule. The roll schedule tells me which months I actually want to include within this particular vehicle, and the roll day tells me when I'm going to roll. So for example, for gold, I roll to the next contract on the 1st of the month. But equally, you might say, well, no, I actually want to go back on the prior 15th. So I'm going to leave mine on the first, which is what I've typically been using. But if you wish to change the way that your continuous chart rolls, that's how you would do it. You would go to the symbol tab and change your roll schedule. One other thing to talk about is, let's just say you get an erroneous bar. An erroneous bar. Let's just say we have a bar here where for some reason, let me just change the high. So we have a bar, it's completely wrong. It's spurious. It was served to us wrongly by our feed provider, in this case eSignal, and therefore I wish to refresh the data. Right click and go to refresh, and then you can have a period for which to refresh. And what you're effectively doing here is you are re-requesting this period of data from your data provider, and it will overwrite data that you already have. So I'm going to refresh. In fact, today is Sunday. This was Friday. I'm just going to refresh the last week. And there you go. It re-requested all of the way back throughout the last week, including the bar that we had changed, and the issue vanished. So if you wish to refresh data, again, it's you can go to refresh and then pick a period to re-request data from your feed provider. When you have Ensign running, it is continuously pulling data for the vehicles that you're monitoring, and these are the vehicles right here. Those are the vehicles that it will be pulling on a continuous basis from your feed provider. However, let's just say that you close your computer on a Friday afternoon and you don't get to open it again until Tuesday. So you've missed potentially moves that occurred Sunday night and Monday. And so you wish to refresh all of your charts for the last 48 hours. What you can do is you can go to Setup, Charts, Properties. And what you'll see is in the lower right-hand corner, the ability to refresh all open charts for 48 hours. And that's what I would advise you to do, is simply pick the period that you need to fill in and refresh. Pay attention to your axes. So if you're looking at your x-axis, for example, and you have a bunch of missing bars. So let's just say on Thursday, it goes from 2 o'clock in the morning till 4 to 6 to 12, and it's missing 8 and 10. You know you have missing bars, and then you just refresh over that period, and it will re-request the data from your feed provider. If eSignal is closed, it will be missing bars that are occurring during that time. So if I close Ensign now, it's now Sunday afternoon, Asian Open isn't for another several hours, it's not an issue. But if I close Ensign for the next hour on a Monday morning, or sorry, close it for an hour on Monday morning, when I open it, I will need to ensure that I refresh the data during the period through which Ensign was closed. And again, if you go to Setup, Charts, Properties, you can actually configure to manually refresh for a number of hours, or you can actually up here with auto refresh, you can actually say when my chart's opening, for my minute charts and for my daily charts, I wish to automatically refresh for 48 hours. So what that will mean is that if you open up your Ensign on a Monday morning, it will automatically take care of any bars that occurred Sunday evening while you weren't running Ensign. Okay, that's just a way of keeping your data fully up to date.